Is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, awesome or awful? It's time to tackle that question. Hey, thanks for checking out the latest video. Today we're talking Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Is it awesome or is it awful? Not really sure, to be honest with you. I go back and forth on that. But before we get into it, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're commenting on this video and make sure you like this video. It all helps me out. Make sure you leave some comments on there about other movies that you want me to cover or different topics in horror just in general. Really want to get some feedback from you guys on what other films you want me to tackle, so make sure you're sending that. Also, make sure you watch till the end of the video. We're going to have a topic of the day that we can start a conversation on in the comments below. Alright, so every once in a while, I will rip through a horror franchise. I do it quite often. It kind of just went through Wishmaster series, the Phantasm series, and then started going on the Halloween kick. I do that pretty often. I don't just wait for the Halloween season. Basically, I just get that feeling and then I just go. It's hard to believe that this film is over 30 years old. You know, basically we had Michael taken away from us for a while. You know, we had Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Then we had Halloween 4 pop up. And then Halloween 5 pop up really quickly. And then a few years before we got down to actually see The Curse of Michael Myers or the Halloween 666, the origin. So it was kind of like a weird time for the franchise. And me personally, I love Part 4. I thought that was a great, no pun intended, return to the series. Part 5, I've always been weird with. There's a lot of things I really like about it, and there's a lot of things I don't really enjoy too much about it. With that being said, typically, after I watch 4, I typically will just go and watch 5 as well. So, is it as bad as a lot of people give it credit for? Probably not. But, is it as good as a lot of the other ones in the series? No, not really. So, let's talk about the good and the bad. Just keep in mind, there will be spoilers ahead. So, it's the only way to have a real good conversation on it. So, like I said, good and bad, right? It's as much as I will probably end up bashing the movie in this video, I'm going to watch it again. And I'm going to enjoy it again because it does have its moments. The director, Dominique Girard, kind of further derailed John Carpenter and Deborah Hill's original story. I mean, we have clown cops, we have telepathic children, we have Tina Williams in basically as bad as acting can get. On paper, this should work, right? You have a returning cast, you have a continued storyline, you have one of the greatest villains of all time. So what went wrong in this one? First and foremost, the part that always kills me is the clown cops. Basically, Rachel is looking for her dog after Loomis calls her because Jamie sensed the problem. Jamie was right, Michael was around. The cops come walking up the walkway, and I swear to you, there was circus music tossed in for good measure, just to let you know this is a comedy break of some sort. I really wish I was kidding. There were some silly circus sounds with horns and all. Something was wrong right then and there. Not as sure if this was supposed to be an homage to Last House on the Left with similar characters, but Wes Craven got roasted for that silliness in an otherwise classic movie. If you're going to copy something out of Last House on the Left, I wouldn't have it be the worst part of the movie, just in my opinion. So okay, let's step away from the cops for a minute. Next up is Tina Williams. She was in Halloween 4 for a minute, so she's a returning character. She is just annoying for pretty much half of the movie with her silliness. The scene where she's singing and dancing while hiding in costume for Jamie still annoys the hell out of me to this day. It could be one of the single most annoying scenes ever recorded. And the sad part is, I don't think it was really meant to be annoying. You also have Loomis just treating Jamie so meanly just to get to Michael. This is the first movie where they kind of portray Loomis as almost a bad guy. Rachel and Jamie just did not like him. He set up Jamie as bait multiple times. Towards the end of the film, where he's just kind of dragging her around and getting Michael to follow. It's just kind of just a weird scene and so out of character for Dr. Loomis. A lot of people say Donald Pleasance basically was just kind of like cashing this one in this movie. He wasn't himself. He still had some good lines, but I mean, the stuff that he had in 1, 2, and 4, it was just, just gold in there for a lot of that stuff. And in this one, he's still pretty good. But it was just, they kind of just had him all like old and decrepit, and it's, I guess that's kind of what they were going for. But just that scene alone where he's dragging Jamie around is just very strange. Also, hate the scene where Michael's stalking Rachel in the house. He decides to come out of the closet, but instead of getting her, he leaves the room. I never quite understood what that was all about. To jump all the way back to the beginning, what's the deal with the hermit who lets Michael sleep in his hut for a full year? That makes no sense. He's trying to help somebody out. And then he's like, let me just let him rest here for a year. At some point you're like, all right, he's not getting up. Maybe I should get him to the hospital or something like that. Is he seriously that much of a recluse that he can't leave his house? It was just a very weird scene, and I get it why, because Michael has to come back on Halloween, and he was too weak, and in that prior Halloween, it was just kind of a little weird. It's just like one of those horror movie things that we're supposed to supposed to just take with a grain of salt, I guess. Also, what's the deal with backpedaling on the ending of part 4? Love it or hate it, that ending of part 4 was kind of an iconic thing. And no, they're not going to have, whatever she was, like a 10-year-old Jamie be the killer in part 5 or anything like that, right? That's just never going to happen. But they need to explain it a little bit better than what they did. It was kind of mentioned at some point that she attacked the mother, but that was really about it. And just overall, the writing was shabby. There's really no female lead for the majority of the film. The rest of the films had that strong female lead, right? You had Jamie Lee Curtis in there. Even in part 4, Rachel was there for the whole entire movie. In this one, Rachel dies early. Jamie's locked up for most of the film. That pretty much makes Tina inherit the female lead, and that was a mistake. Not sure why Rachel had to die so early in the movie. It was kind of anticlimactic. Why not at least have it be in the third act of the film? We've kind of seen this done in Friday the 13th Part 2 and in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. In Friday the 13th, this was so early they just cleaned up the first film. In Nightmare Part 4, we were left with Alice at least, so we had something. And Tina's not going to be a strong lead. She's barely even a supporting actress in this movie. And believe me, I'm not the only one out there who says she's pretty damn annoying. Also, Halloween 4 is kind of where Michael started to become a clone of Jason Voorhees in a way. So, there's a lot more action in these films, putting them on par with Friday the 13th. The ending where Jamie tries to comfort Michael is similar to the scenes that we've seen where he tried to humanize Jason. Just very odd that they would take a franchise that was created before Friday the 13th and then and not only that, Friday the 13th was basically made to capitalize on the success of Halloween, but then you have Michael start to turn more into Jason, which was a little weird. He still definitely had his thing. Alright, so what did I like about part 5 though? It's not all bad. Michael's more in the shadows again. Thank you so much for that. Michael should not be a creature of the night only. He is frightening during the day, just hiding out in plain sight. There's a bunch of scenes, you may not even notice it right away. You'll kind of see Michael just hanging out there in the back. That's like the greatest use of Michael. So, love the beginning, how Michael survives the scene at the end by floating down the river. Not the fact that he was asleep in a guy's hut for a year, but just to explain how Michael did actually survive. Because in part 4, basically him falling down the whatever it was, the shaft, was synonymous of Michael, I almost said Jason, of Michael going to hell, as Donald Pleasance mentioned at the end of part 4. So, when Jamie's in the house, I love how Michael diverted the cops' attention to another location to give himself better odds of getting Jamie. It was kind of smart, a little out of character maybe, but it was kind of cool to where we get that conclusion that's a little more intimate. I do like the ending where Loomis traps Michael, how Michael just keeps charging, the rage consuming him, and he just keeps coming, and he just wants nothing more than to get to Jamie. Man in Black. Love it and I hate it. There was no strong writing to describe who he was. There was talk about him being related to Michael. There were a lot of rumors. It was supposed to be fleshed out in part 6, but 6 went in a completely different direction. That's probably a video for another day because I have such a soft spot for part 6, and a lot of people say it's by far the worst movie in the series. But, another example of weak writing is the film ends in a shootout, the same as in part 4. Now, you don't see a lot of it, but it's still, there could have been something else. But it was just so weird how this film diverged so much from the formula that worked for Halloween. I like a little of the experimentation, but, some of it fails. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Alright, so that wraps this one up. Now, in your comments below, list how you would have started Halloween 5 to pick up where Halloween 4 left off with Jamie. So how would you have started part 5? I would love to hear this. Alright, until the next episode, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're leaving your comments. But most of all, make sure you keep it horror.